SETA is a very critical sectoral education and training authority, mainly because the country needs as many engineers as possible. But I think what we've also seen is that process of ensuring that universities do indeed bring that pipeline of the skills that we need in order to run this economy is not always a linear process. And one of the problems may well be that merSETA is able to look at the country's national skills plan and then say, we need 30,000 engineers of this particular type, only to find that universities don't have enough, mainly because a lot of them don't have the capacity to finance their way through higher education. Now, of course, that means that you guys would then initiate programs that trying to assist as many students as you can. But again, every institution has got resource limitations. So this development that then sort of seeks to break the question of financial access in relation to students that are trapped in that missing middle, is this something that you as a SETA see as a positive development that will enable many more students to access the system, to grow the pipeline of potential engineers, and to be able to enable you as a SETA to say, look, actually things are happening?
Good afternoon, Kaya. Good afternoon to the entire audience. Thank you for the invitation from ISFAP. I'm happy to actually say, Kaya, that merSETA actually entered the chat before the WhatsApp group was even created on the conversation of the missing middle. So in 2023, the board, we had a board meeting at merSETA, and the board was like, there's such a need in the country. Instead of us trying to motivate to National Treasury why we should return our surplus funds, why don't we look at possibly funding all these missing middle? The term at the time was not the missing middle. The term was, we have a huge load of student debt. So management, we were given the go-ahead to see what we can do. So we put the entire team together to see what we could do. And it's amazing, Kaya, what merSETA has done in the last 12 months. We contacted NSFAS and we asked them to submit a proposal to us. But with them, we were specific. And we asked them to submit a proposal regarding the missing middle, because we knew at the time that this is a group that has been neglected. And personally, I come from that group. In fact, I come from not the missing middle, where I was born into a poor family. I actually went to UCT. So I know the challenges of going to the student financial office every day to check whether you've received student funding. So it was when we're given that go ahead to do that as management, it was not only personal for me, but it was something that I think as a SETA we're excited about to give back to the communities. So we have already signed with NSFAS about 140 million rands in the last financial year to fund 300 missing middle students. The number in the contract will say 300, but we know some courses, because we're using the threshold of 180,000 per student, but we know that some students will not use that money, will not use the entire amount. So we're possibly looking at about 500 that will benefit from the loan alone, from the grant alone that we took to NSFAS last year. We didn't only do that. What we did is we went to different provincial governments, and what we did is we said to them, look at your universities and ask them to submit to you the loans, student debts, that students that cannot receive their certificates because they owe the universities. And I think that's what Dr. Matutu was referring to, that most of the students are, some of them who have already finished their university qualifications are stuck at home because they don't have access to their qualifications. So we reached out to them, and part of the initiatives that we did in the last financial year was to make sure that we fund as many students as we could possibly, as much as possible, whatever was submitted to us, but we were focusing on our sector, of course. And I think in your introduction, you were speaking so much about skills that are relating to our sector. So what is key to us, is key to us at this point is we know that most of the scarce skills are in our sector. And what we did with the universities, we asked that they send us a list of students that cannot access the job market because they've got these certificates that have been withheld, and so that they can access the job market. And I think the CFO, Dr. Mutolo, spoke about this threshold that I think needs to be revised, because in my view, there's no difference really between someone who earns 350,000 and someone who earns 351,000. If you think about it, if my combined income is 351,000, then I must fall into this category of the missing middle, and I'll possibly get a half a loan, half a grant, if I'm successful. But you've got this group, this group that has a threshold of 350,000 that will qualify for the full grant or bursary. So I think it's also something that we need to look at, but at least this is a start. I mean, if you're looking at the current missing middle, up to 600,000, that's what we have, then that's what we must work with. As merSETA, we are committed, Kaya, we are very committed to continue continue giving grants to NSFAS. In fact, we've had a contract with ISFAP. We've had a contract with ISFAP in the last, very successfully, to give out bursaries to not just the missing middle, to a number of young people. So we are committed, and we also want the contribution that we need to make. Private sector engagement is very key, because one, we could discuss in terms of how they could contribute to the funding, but also their commitment into absorbing these young people once they've received these qualifications. So I know that, for example, when we went to the Free State, when they were when they were clearing out student debts, they also invited the private sector, and they said to them, now they've got the qualifications, employ them. Now imagine those young people, now they've got debts, they've got a loan that they have to carry. How will they service that loan? And it's a huge challenge with a poor economy. So what I'm trying to say, Kaya, is all hands must be on deck. It's not a higher education problem. It's everybody's problem to try and see how we can support our young people. And it also talks to how we can also restructure our curricula, so that when they are at a young age, they also choose degrees or qualifications that will make them employable, or that will encourage them to be entrepreneurs. So you get a lot of young people, they get university access, they get into the university, but even if they qualify, they're sitting at home. Now they can't contribute positively to the economy. It creates a problem that multiplies and multiplies. So in my view, it's a cradle to grave approach that we need to look at as a country in terms of how we solve this problem. So I think that's the contribution that I have for now. But as merSETA, that's why I started the conversation with, we entered the chat before the chat group was even opened about the missing middle, and I know that we're going to have soon, going to be having conversations with the department and with NSFAS in terms of how we can continue with the grant that we give them. And I know that Dr. Matutu was worried about the sustainability, which should worry us all, because can merSETA do this continuously? Can merSETA have the funds to continually give funding to students, the missing middle? So how do we ensure that the pocket at merSETA never runs dry? And how do we also get the buy-in of industry? When we go to industry and we go to account and we say to them, this is how we've used these funds, how do we encourage them to keep on participating by paying levies in the sector and making sure that they absorb these young people when they qualify?